In this week's episode of Space Dandy, Dandy decides to help out an old ex-girlfriend. Now we all know that Dandy is a big fan of boobies and he's definitely an ass man. I just never pictured him a fan of fourth dimensional Carl Sagan's Cosmos cubes. This was another weird episode of Space Dandy, but it was very thought-provoking, it had incredible writing, and if you're a fan of old school video games like arcade games, Atari, Space Invaders, Nintendo, you're totally gonna love this episode. So the main story this week is that Dandy reluctantly is going to have to help out his old ex-girlfriend in order to stop his old rival Paul from completely destroying the universe by having it get sucked up into his massive 2D, old-school, 8-bit video game universe. If you can wrap your head around that, you can probably also accept the fact that Dandy's old ex-girlfriend Catherine, yes, her name is Catherine, is actually a translucent, futuristic-looking box with a heart in it. That's it. No expressions, no nothing. And yet, Catherine still manages to have quite a bit of character and can actually show a little bit of emotion, especially at the very end of the episode, where things get really heavy-handed. One of the biggest surprises about this week's episode is how much they focus on Dr. Gel and B. Those are the two characters from the Gogol Empire who are the villains of the show, and typically they only have these short little quick scenes that they just show for like a split second, and then usually they just die. But they were one of the main focuses this week as they were the first to go into Paul's 2D dimension and try to destroy it and escape. And Dr. Gel is a man of science, a gorilla of science, if you will, and he is the one who is so excited about this journey, although B is just waiting. Any second, he knows something's going to go wrong, there's going to be like a dimensional vortex that's going to kill them, there's going to be an explosion that's going to send them flying off somewhere like Team Rocket. He knows better, and by the end of the episode, yes, that does happen, but it's actually because of Dandy intervening. And also, fans of Honey, you're going to love the fact that she actually decides to join in on the journey this week, and that's actually because she wants to meet the prince of the 2D universe, Paul. She imagined that he's going to be some sort of handsome guy. He's actually just a rectangle with a crown, so that's just hilarious in itself. You don't even really get to see Paul do much of anything or say too much, aside from this one scene at the very end of the episode when he decides to convert the 2D dimension into a 1D dimension. And this comes to the next part of the episode, which is the very end, where things get kind of confusing and slightly heavy-handed, where there's this whole talk throughout the course of the episode that Catherine and Dandy are having about the secret of warping. He goes on to explain that there is no secret. It's simply just traveling from universe to universe. And that at one point in time, you're this person, and that at another point in time, you're that person. And Catherine basically explains, so that means you're not the man that I love anymore. And then he just accepts it right there. It's really strange, and it's honestly the type of episode that I am going to have to watch again, because I was mostly wrapped up in all of just the crazy like 2D universe and the 8-bit action. I just thought that was really funny. But everything they did with Dandy this week was really interesting, and like I said, I like the fact that even though Dandy is just always mostly portrayed as like a sex-crazed, goofy character, he does want to help people. You know, there's been a lot of characters that he's interacted with in the series that he genuinely wants to help them out and make things better, and that's what he did in this week's episode. He could have completely pushed his old ex-girlfriend away and decided not to do anything, but he went on this crazy journey and literally cut through dimensions just to help her out. It's actually Honey who came up with that idea too, so I thought that was pretty awesome. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Space Dandy? Really good, a little confusing and heavy-handed in some spots, but honestly, just another great episode of the series that shows that this series has a really competent writing staff. And again, the animation style this week was really unique because they did something completely different. They used the 2D style. Like whenever they showed like Dr. Gel and B, it honestly looked like a cutscene from like an old SNES game. And I just thought that was really awesome. And when they showed like the map of the 2D world, I don't know why, but it sort of gave me like an old Legend of Zelda vibe. Kind of like the original one from NES, just the way the map looked. That and of course just all the sound effects and everything. Whenever they would launch a missile, it would just have that same classic boo noise. Just, it was really infectious and very funny. And it was really the thing about this episode that was the most humorous. Everything with Dandy was really serious. He was like a man on a mission this week, and there really wasn't a lot of room for smiles for him. And of course, he was probably really embarrassed because he was hanging out with his ex-girlfriend at Boobies with frickin' Honey just right there. And, you know, I imagine they basically have more of a brother-sister relationship. I don't really see that going anywhere, especially after last week's episode with Scarlet. Still, this was another fantastic episode that had some really great writing, fantastic animation, and a lot of fan-favorite characters. Not only did Honey return, but Meow and QT had a few standout scenes, Dr. Gel and Bee almost stole the entire show, and Dandy was awesome this week. It shows that he is definitely a true space adventurer and will help out anyone if he really has to. So, I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Really great episode. I want to hear what you guys thought about this week's episode as well, and you can tell me in the comments below. Did you have any favorite moments? Did you have any favorite scenes? Did you like when they went into the 2D world? And what do you want to see from the final episodes of Space Dandy? And make sure to subscribe to the channel. You can click on the little button right up here. And you can also check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll put links for all that stuff in the description box below.
Do you like Amazon.com? I know I do. Corey and I now have an Amazon link in our video description box below. And if you go to it and buy anything through Amazon.com, it will support our channel. So bookmark that link, make it happen, and support our channel without having to do a damn thing.
Another great way you guys can help support our channel is by donating directly through our PayPal link in the description box below. We recommend $2 a month, although this is completely optional. But the best way to go about this is by sneaking into your mom's room and taking $2. This way, she won't even notice. And we won't have to shake you up for all of your lunch money. So guys, that concludes this review today. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.